Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Musically Mindful, the show where I sit down with your favorite musicians, artists, and even some of your friends to discuss mental health within the music space. My name's Mike Renzetti, and I'm really excited to have another good friend on the show with me this week. You might know him as a massive piece of the puzzle behind the scenes of Good Friends, New Jersey-based quintet Dogs in a Pile. You might know him from his work with Nugs.net, the 1111 group. But more than anything, he's a good friend, one of the hardest working guys I know. Big Husk, please help me welcome Ross Peterzell. Welcome on, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. It's been probably 16 plus months of planning for this, and it's finally here. So I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of when we came up with this. It's cool. You're one of the first people that like came to me were like, "Oh, like I'd love to talk about something in particular on the show." And having you come on now prepared, ready to go, and just be able to talk and, pick your brain, give you a platform is really, really exciting. And, 16 months is nothing. Who gives a shit?
We made it.
We're here. We're doing the thing. So with that, let's just jump right in. And when I say mental health, what does that mean to you?
Oh, feel like the first word that comes to mind is a motor, because at least in the perspective that I look at it from, like you need a car needs its motor to move, to do anything. And if it's the same thing and it's not as physical with mental health, but like you don't have your motor, you're not gonna if you don't have your drive, you're not gonna get anything done. And mental health, in my experience, is the main propeller or prohibitor in terms of starting the motor. So maybe it's the part of the motor that the starter, but it's what motivates me, or it's the source that is motivating or unmotivating me on a day-to-day basis.
I think that part right there is particularly interesting that it is the source of your motivation because I feel at the same time where our mental health can be influenced by whether it be inspiration or projects that we have going on, external versus internal forces and what have you, you looking at it in the perspective of mental health being the thing that drives you, I think is actually a really healthy relationship because I feel like a lot of people are driven to their mental health. And I think that starting there, because, we know that everything starts from within. It all starts from us. Everything that we say, everything that we do, all the stuff that we try and figure out and put intention to, it all would crumble if our mental health wasn't a priority.
Yep, and I would say that you this is bold, but you're only as good as your mental health or your control over your mental health. You can be um, the absolute best basketball player in the world, but if you don't have your shit together, you're not going to get drafted. You're going to you'll be punished. You won't be able to let your raw skills evolve to its fullest degree unless you have the mental component locked in.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, mental acuity, the way that you prioritize your mind and your ability to be present within yourself, your understanding, your ability to keep composure is what helps you flourish in all different facets of life, whether it be that you're a professional athlete, that you're a musician, that you're a manager, that you're a guy who drives a fucking forklift. If you're not sound and you're not understanding of who you are, what you have to do, because a lot of people, even, we talk all the buzzwords, mental health, mindfulness, all the things. But a lot of people don't actually understand or prioritize the things that they really need because we're all different. We all have different responsibilities. We all have different problems going on. We're at different stages of our lives. And being as good as our mental health is up to us. And it's really, really cool to think that, thoughts are thoughts, but our ability to control our mind, our intention, and obviously let things come in as we let them go out, but our ability to really dig our heels into the things that make up who we are and are a part of the fabric of us is what eventually translates into everything else that we do and all the other aspects of our lives, our ability to show up for people, all of the all of the things. And you work with such an extensive network of like different people behind the scenes, the guy, band on stage, and all of those different aspects. So, where do you find that you're prioritizing your mental health? What does this type of lifestyle mean to you? You're not on stage, but I have watched you tour hard. I've watched you travel. I've watched you fly in, fly out. We've been in a lot of different states together. Let's put it that way. And the logistic aspect. So, what does this line of work and this style of your career, how does it affect you from a mental health standpoint?
So the first call out would be that work-life balance does not really exist in my world.
Hmm.
So um yeah, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, that was a thought that got stuck.
No, that's great, and we can elaborate on it too. But pretty much the road warrior lifestyle, the consistent logistical practice that you have to go through. What is that? How does it impact you from a mental health standpoint, from
Sure.
the unsureness, the chaos, all of those things?
So great question. I want to talk about the highs and lows of touring and playing shows and having big wins happen right next to big losses in my world. And there's a line in My Sisters and Brothers, Jerry Garcia band, and it says when the storm. Hold on, I don't want to mess it up.
I respect that. I love it. Like I was saying to all the listeners, he's a hardworking guy. He's thorough. He doesn't slip.
So when the storm flies and the wind blows, go on at a steady pace. And that's sort of like being able to zoom in and zoom out. Because like I not only have to control my own emotions, but I've got 5 band members, 4 crew members, fucking 30 family members, as you know. Like there's a
Hmm.
lot of emotions and there's a lot of highs and lows. And what my focus is as a resource to the band is to sort of just be a voice of reason, a voice of truth. Like I know exactly where we are in terms of development. Like, and I also comparatively use a analogy with like friends who are losing weight. Like if you see someone every single day, you're not going to really notice them losing weight. And that's
Hmm.
me, like I'm like next time we come to Denver or Boulder, you're gonna be like, holy shit, like you guys blew up, like whatever. Like you weren't in Davenport, Iowa, and you weren't in fucking so like, yeah, it looks that way, but like there are some very high highs, which is always going to be Denver, and 6 hours in any direction are a bunch of lows. So if you're going to Denver and getting that high, automatically you're going to get the lows with it because you got to go through Iowa or you got to go through fucking rural Illinois. Like there's no way around in a touring model where you don't get the lows with the highs at our level. So going back to the quote that I had mentioned about going on with the steady pace, it's like we have this combined vision and we've all agreed on it of where we want to be as a band in the future. And everyone has accepted it's not going to happen tomorrow. And it's just a matter of just like staying focused on the bigger picture and not getting caught up in a strong wind one day, that's going to fuck us up for the day, or we have no air conditioning on the bus, or we have like a tire blows and we're going to have a short load in. So like our entire plans change. Like the fluidity is why you need to have mental health, why you need to be on top of your mental health, because the acceptance of a constantly changing state needs a strong head, and it will beat your ass up if not. And it's happened, and it's not for everyone. But if you cannot maintain a flow, not only it starts internally, but then you have to make sure you're dealing with the 8 people that you're sharing all the same space with. And then you're going into a venue where there's a whole nother group of energy coming in, and then doors open, and then there's a whole new level of energy. So it starts, if you don't have it together inside, and external factors are going to blow you away, that's it. They will blow you away.
There's so much to unpack within that. And the first thing that immediately jumps out is the recognition of just how wide the net is of what you have to actually juggle. Because I think when a lot of people look at music, they look at bands, they're like, oh, like those guys are just on stage and they're playing music. But the backside of it, the guys behind the scenes, managing, especially, with dogs, there's friends, there's parents, there's family. So that all has to be taken care of. Then there's venue staff, there's load in, there's gear, there's the crew, there's the band, there's travel, there's so many different moving parts. But you're not also exclusive to like that night, because the next day is a track. Like there's so many moving parts. And I have always told you, and I commend you immensely for the amount of work that you put in. And the second thing is that you truly are a foundation and you're a backbone for the band and the crew. And it's important to be that role. And I'm curious what that means to you from a personal perspective, but also, ways that you're able, because hey, you have shit too. Ways that you're able to separate, like you said, the work-life balance doesn't exist. So how do you find not necessarily blurring those lines and being such an integral part of a business, of a family?
So I would say I don't have a work life balance. I don't believe that what we're trying to do is attainable with a work life balance. We don't have as much as I try, like, we don't have a viral presence on social media. We don't have a number one hit. We have our effort and we have our community and we have this constant feeling of newness. And in order for those things to be preserved, it's all in. Like you can't just check out for 3 weeks. And like we really don't have those opportunities. And for the band, it's really hard because they want to get home and do nothing, rightfully so. And when we check out, it only hurts us. So hopefully in 10, 20 years, it's a situation where like we can do nothing all week, fly in, do 3 shows, come out. But like right now, I think everyone's in agreement that we need to have all our chips in the middle. Like if we want to come out of it, because like busting our ass for the results at this level in 10 years, like no one wants to settle. No
Mm-hmm.
one wants to like be hauling the way they're hauling right now with children. Like we're so lucky to be able to grind it out like how we're grinding it out in our current situations. And like
Mm-hmm.
it is a gift, it's an opportunity. And I I'm certain that many bands would wish to have the opportunity to be an established touring band in our 20s before family gets in the way and reproduction gets in the way.
Sure, sure. You said something really, really cool there, that it's a consistent level of newness. And I think that is like a really beautiful way that you can also relate into life, because life is, I mean, unless you're living in the comfort zone, which is where life goes to die, there is always going to be a level of newness, whether that be people, situations, thoughts, emotions, feelings, all the things that we encounter on a day to day. And it's it's unique to what you guys do because you have even less control over what that newness is. You don't know when something's going to blow up, what's going to be viral, what song is going to be the hit. Granted, from a business sense, when the guys when there's an article about the guys uh, creating and finishing a song from somebody that they went to school with, doing it for their parents, the recent thing that just happened is like a beautiful you know that that's going to translate, you know that that's going to mean something to
I
people.
want to talk about that. I just want to first let me. We fucked up the story on our side. So Ben never made it to college, so he didn't go to Berkeley. Ed, the father, brought the song Big Man to Berkeley, who to a professor that I believe Brian had in school. So that was the Berkeley connection. So like
Oh,
Big
okay.
Man went to Berkeley a few years ago. Ed went up there. A group of Berkeley students performed the song in their own arrangement, and that was the Berkeley connection. Um, Amazing story. If I
Unbelievable.
if I can just go for a second.
Yeah,
So
please.
basically, in January, it honestly like it. I found out after the fact how much deeper it went, and I'll get to that. But in January, I was in Nevada City, California, staying with a friend, vagabonding, following my own band around through California for 2 weeks, like no flight home. But it was, but this guy reaches out with his whole pitch, and it seemed like he had sent it several times, and I read it, and it was like, okay, like this guy Ed, like he really seemed passionate about it. And I picked up the phone and called him just to talk more about it. And I didn't promise anything, but like I could tell there was a lot of passion on his side, and I knew it was a story that would resonate with our group. Um, and after Jam Cruise, we had a month off, and we were having our weekly meetings, and we brought it up. I brought it up to the band, and they were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was everyone coming together, the nine of them, because this guy Ed entertained the band all day. Like he fed them breakfast. He owns a bagel restaurant. He came in. He's like, because that was part of it too. So I had to coordinate that leading up to it with Nick, our tour manager. But like making sure the band kept a straight face, because they were not going to rehearse that song at soundcheck on the Tuesday. They needed to have it prepared by Sunday soundcheck so that Ed would have no clue on Tuesday. So they did the work. They got the song done, and I mean, Ed and I have talked almost every day since last Tuesday, but he just has like a renewed purpose, and like just like the happiest he's been. And the fact that the band was able to come together, there's no ego, there's no I did this. It was a collective good deed. Everyone had to contribute to it together towards something bigger than the sum of all of them to make that moment happen. And like that's just the kind of that's the reminder to them. It was a Tuesday night in Indiana, but like that's the reminder that I wanted to give to them how meaningful their work is. So like, because sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but when you're bringing a memory to life through music, and Brian mentioned it in his speech, but it's like bringing a memory to life through music is like a really special power that we have as a band, and like it's not forgotten about. Like we need to take advantage of that, and like continue to use the band's gifts to like make other people rise up, or get make take something out of the show that makes them better the next day. So Ben Ben bipolar disorder, um, committed suicide at 19, and brutal. Like never made it to school. He did not win the fight against himself, and it's brutal. And I'm sure we'll get to this, but I've been through that fight
Hmm.
for year. It's been years now, thank God. But like I know it. I know what Ed's feeling. I know what his sister's feeling. Like it's just it's close to me. It was really nice to see that it was close to the band as well. Like they really went out of their way to make this happen. And then the other crazier thing. So Ed Schwartzman was not a jam band fan, didn't know the band, and he owns restaurants. And one of his chefs was really in the dumps with substance abuse, and Ed sponsored him to go to rehab. He was like forcing. He's like, you got to go to rehab. So the guy goes to rehab. This is a employee of Ed, goes to rehab, meets someone in there, finds out about dogs in a pile in rehab. So while he's
Wow.
making life better, dogs in a pile appears for him. Now he leaves rehab after Ed saved his life, let's just say, and
Hmm.
tells Ed, I know you've been looking for a band to play your son's music. I just found out about this band in rehab while I was getting my life better. Dogs in a pile. I think you should reach out. So it wasn't just a friend, it was someone who Ed directly helped. And it just came back, like that favor. Ed had no idea it was going to come, but because Ed went out of his way to get someone he cared about into treatment, what came back was this opportunity.
What an
Unbelievable.
unreal. I mean, it is nothing in this world happens by accident, truthfully. And that is so evident in things like these that it's proof that reciprocity of energy and intention, and when you do something good, it comes back. When you act from love and not for it, because Ed didn't need to do that for that guy. But what an incredible way for the universe to show you your good deed. And the coolest part about that, too, the band now can have that forever. And anybody that hears that song when it's played can think about it. When those guys are on stage and they play that song, they can think about it, and it can be a consistent reminder. And that's one of my favorite things about music is it's nurturing and it's transformative, but it's also time capsule. It can transport you to places, it can transport you to times, and the ability of the band to recognize the importance of that. Those are the types of things not only that resonate, but those are the things that last. Those are the things that you do to leave an impact. Years from now, like you said, 10, 20 years from now, we hope that it's a different scenario, but also 10, 20 years from now, when that song gets played, those of us that were present or those of us that know the story can recognize the evolution and let that take on a life of its own. And for you to have such a personal relationship with that whole thing. And we'll get into it because it was the whole idea of you coming on this show was to talk about your own history and your own past with bipolar. And I really want to go into discussing what it means to you to have been through it, to be where you are now, and also just give you complete opportunity to talk about struggles, successes, just like we were saying, there's highs and lows. Here you are after a decade. What has your personal journey with your diagnosis of bipolar, what does it mean and how do you look at it now?
Hmm.
And I get you can even go to the beginning of when it happened and what you thought 10 years ago, 11 years ago when you're what, 17,
I was
16, 18?
Yeah. Dr. Brent Carr in New Orleans, Louisiana. Let me see if he's still.
Still active, still practicing.
He moved over to Florida Department of Psychiatry,
Yeah,
but that's who.
that checks out.
Um, so I guess where to start. I want to lead by saying that I firmly believe that it is a superpower. Like how we started this conversation, your mental health is your motor, and if you're not able to step outside of your motor and you're riding the lows and riding the highs with it, it's a hard ride. And when you're 19 and you have no resources, it's very easy to be stuck at the bottom of the ride and call it quits. Like that's kind of what happens to a lot of people in their early 20s with bipolar disorder. It's really dangerous. But I think there's a lot of literature, there's a lot of like behavioral exercises you can do where it's not like, of course, medication is very valuable. I'm a big proponent of trusting doctors with like psychiatric medicine, but not everyone is. But I'm here 10 years later to say that. So I think that I'm a valid um, reviewer. But yeah, so back to the whole superpower thing. We have adjusted brain chemistry. We don't think the same as other people. There are very few. There are fewer opportunities to sort of seek. I don't want to use the word validation, but like there are fewer people on your wavelength when your brain chemistry is fucked up. So it's harder to get resources and like it's a lot of inner work and coming to terms. So like I remember it was like for sophomore year, I was really into sophomore year of college. I was just like trying to figure out the whole idea of like the ego and being able to control your ego, just like your motor can be is everything. If you don't control your ego and your voice inside your head is telling you to give up, you're going to give up. But if you can step outside of it, it's telling you something, things need to change. What can we do to make a change? Thanks for the message, ego. Now I'm going to take this on and work on it. So when you're not attached to it, then it becomes a tool. When you are attached to it, it is your enemy. Um, and that was sort of like bipolar disorder is like really it's all about the ego. You love yourself and you're thinking grandiose, like some of the dog's biggest ideas and visions have come from grandiose thoughts. And like we were probably together like thinking great thoughts, big thoughts in Colorado, but like gotta reel it in because if you live on that cloud, like it's not real. But it's a real thought. Like your brain isn't just coming up out of nowhere with it. So if you can just use that thought as like your goal and use all of the tools around you in order to get there versus being the goal, which is like a very egotistical way of approaching it, like it's an opportunity. It's a gift. It's a tool. But again, fine line, and it becomes your worst enemy just as fast.
Well, exactly what you said about being attached to it. With anything that we do in life, the deeper that we're attached to something, the more control it has over us. And the flow state that we talked about, letting things happen, letting it work out. Like we've all had those moments where you're just so fixated on something and it eats at you and it digs and it digs and it digs. And it's very stressful to try and dig yourself out of a place like that. But to have the perspective of it being a superpower, to have the recognition, and I don't know how far along you recognized it to be a superpower, but to have something at such a transformative age. I mean, when we're 18, 19, especially I feel like for guys, we don't fucking know our ass from our elbow most of the time. But for you to be consistent in your understanding, for you to pay attention to it, but not let it consume you. Immediately, I want to say, well done and commend you for that recognition, for understanding how the motor works. And in terms of like medication, on the first episode of this show, Brownie and I talked about him going to a doctor and getting put on medication. And I think that there's such a stigma around mental health in general. People, it's a touchy subject, it's serious, it's dark, it's all these things. But therapy, medication, just like you're saying, it's a superpower. There are tools that are readily available to us that are easier as we get older, of course, whether it be financially, stability, whatever the case may be. But to be at such a transformative age and experience that, for you to take it in the direction that you have is incredible. And it's proof, not only, like you said, you're a solid reviewer of medication, but you're also proof that you are not your thoughts. You are not your mind. You are not only your emotions. You're you. You're unique. You're one of a kind. You have strengths, you have weaknesses, but you have the ability to adapt and you have the ability to use what is readily available to you to take on the world and to achieve and have successes. And at that stage of your life, at a young age, you're trying to figure things out and all that kind of stuff. We talked about how you're such a pivotal role behind the scenes with dogs. You're the first member of dogs that's not a band member. You really are. You're the first crew member. You're the first guy. When I found out about dogs, it was you. Kieran was there. You know, Marcella hadn't come on board yet. Codina was just taking photos. It wasn't what it is now. But I'm so intrigued as to when you were in that stage of your life, how music seemed to just become an integral part, and maybe ways that we talked about music resonating. And not only have you chosen music to be your career path, but knowing you, I think that time of your life was real. Music was like a major influence on you and a major thing to connect to, a major thing to indulge in, to pay attention to. So within that diagnosis and within your journey through your mental health from that age, how did music become the thing that you connected with and translated with such, because you're passionate about music. You're also passionate about the business, but you're passionate about music in itself, about the moments, about resonating, about lifting people up through music. And it seems like music is a thing that really lifted you up too.
I would also, we are human beings, and human beings seek community and being part of something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just blown away at my first Den & Co show about how everyone was nice to each other. And like, I was taking a summer course at Rutgers Camden because I had dropped out this semester before while I was dealing with shit. And it was the first summer tour. I'd never seen Den & Co. Begged my mom to come with me so I didn't have to go by myself, because I had I barely left the house in 2016 and 2015, like that time. But I was just blown away. I was just blown away by the community. You know, I grew up playing sports. and the camaraderie is something that humans need, in order to live their best life and be their best self. And it was so present and available. And that's sort of been my vision. Like I said, like all we have is our community with the band, and like it starts and ends there. And just try to make every decision in the mind of like making sure the community is served, and like we're making the best decision in order to grow our community and like meet friends. And I know the point you have on this, on the one sheet that I guess we'll get to now. But yeah, like it's really about music. Yes, 100%. I love the way that the Grateful Dead, what really like hooked me, because I didn't grow up in like a classic rock house or anything, but like they were transcending old time American music and making something new out of it. And it's like they have their own little superpower to like bring the foundations of American music into a new generation. Like Billy's doing it now, realistically.
Hmm.
But I don't necessarily, yeah. It was just mind blowing to me finding like El Paso by Marty Robbins after listening to El Paso by Dead, or like any song off the first album where like you can find like the original recordings of the traditional versions, whatever. So the quote that we have here is, the day that there is a dog pound baby will be one of the happiest days of my life. And that is the power of music. And it doesn't look like it, but when there are people that are coming to be in our presence, falling in love, falling in love with themselves. You have to fall in love with yourself before you find a partner, realistically. And like, if
Hmm.
all of those things are happening at our show, people are naturally like, it's gonna come back around. Like people are naturally gonna want to be there. It's like magnetic. We're trying to draw people in because we want them to be there. I don't want, of course, I want them to be blown away by the music, but more so, I want them to feel at home. I want them to feel a part of it. Like every single individual in the building is equally as important to each other. Like there's a contribution from everyone in the room, and my goal is for every individual to feel it, because you might have a really shitty day at work, go to a concert, get hammered, and you don't really feel like you're a part of something special. But the more like, and Burning Daylight, like that is my sole focus, is the vibes, like just making sure that it feels good. But the moment that all of those steps happen in tandem, and then 9 months later there's a baby, and those people met at a dog show, like that is the meaningfulness of our work that we're trying to do, where like we're building families, like our family is growing now into a new generation, and that's, we want to be doing this in 30 years.
Hmm.
So like if the parents are playing dogs music for the kid as a baby, and then the baby is going to school and showing dogs music to the other kids at school, like, and then they're going to be 17 and 18 one day and trying acid for the first time at a dog show, and then like,
Rinse, repeat.
yeah, it's that's the perspective of the dog pound, that like silly whatever, there's a bunch of characters, but like that's the essence of, it's just like being, putting people in position to love themselves more, be grateful for being where they're at, and take the goodness of a dog show back into their life. Like those are really like the pillars of like being involved in our community. And again, Burning Daylight is our, we've had amazing experiences at Great Divide. There's magic, and that is like very condensed. And I'm in my head, I might not have all the ribbons and whatnot, but like I want people to like feel like they're getting something out of it for themselves, for being there, making themselves a better person by being there. However it is. And so that's my I mean, how many all of my probably all of my friends now, most of my friends I met through music,
Hmm.
right? Um, just like a couple of steps removed. You don't think about the power of music in its final form of having a baby, but
Right.
like that's what it is.
Yeah, it's where this is headed. It's the that is the culmination of you guys being a conduit to life, to growth, to adventure, to those moments that resonate. I mean, they're how the story Ben is a beautiful thing that is going to resonate with Ed and his family forever. 30 years from now, that is going to have impact on the line of their family. I can speak to you from a personal perspective. When I found dogs, when granted, I should have earlier on, being that I grew up,
January 15, 22.
I think that's about right.
Was it the Pigeons Brooklyn Bowl?
No, the first time I saw dogs was at the Pony. But it was
Right.
right. It was yeah. So it was right
Outside
before. Yes,
where they did Avicii.
yes,
I think it was 7/6/21.
yeah. That was the first time. And then I had met them at Peach that summer.
With
And
her.
well, with Kiefer, but it was funny. I was backstage in the guest area. Lop come it was basically me just meeting all those boys. And I remember the first conversation I had with Jimmy, we just were like talking about jewelry and like geeking out, and other things too. But that time when I met all of those guys, it felt different. I mean, my past with, like coming from being a big Pigeons fan and them being personal friends and stuff like that. It was a different experience. I'll never forget. It was the night before Easter, and the dogs played a show at the Pony, and I'm hanging out, and Kiefer comes up to me at the end of the show and is like, "Dude, we got to go." And I'm like, "Where are we going?" And he's like, "We're going to Jimmy's house." And I'm like, I don't want to. And he's like, dude, Jimmy came up to me and said specifically he wants you to come. And I was like, Okay." And dude, I went back to Jim and Deb's, and it was a circus and love, and it was just an energy that was so new after years of being in the music scene, and after years of hotel parties and green rooms and all the things that I've been fortunate enough to experience. That was different. 3 o'clock in the morning, Deb like screams out to the whole room and is like, everybody, gives a speech about how happy she is that everybody's there, and she made meatballs and sauce and it's on the stove. And Lou goes on the couch and he's like, no, she's lying. And like, it was just such a unique, it really is a family. The thing that
It was the
dogs,
best bird.
yeah, yeah. The thing that dogs has, and not to say that other bands don't, but the most unique thing about dogs is it truly is a family. It really is the way that the Dead and the Deadheads had a symbiotic relationship. One almost can't exist without the other. There is a beautiful relationship between dogs and the dog pound and the friend, Jim and Deb, Marty and Liz, Uncle, Dog, all those guys. In the same way that we are looking at it now in our young years, about 20 years from now, that we want that ship to continue on. They're doing for us what we want to do for the next
Right.
generation. And I don't, I can't, I'm not part of it, but it is so refreshing to see a group of young guys with that foresight. It truthfully is, I've had conversations with you that it took me a little while to get on board with dogs. And granted, when I met them, we were all in different places in our lives, and I think it's understandable. But the way that I have seen them evolve, the way that I have watched, I mean, I have known AJ and Codina since I mean, AJ and I used to hang out at pigeon shows. Codina and I used to be on the rail at the Biscuits. And to now watch this, it's so funny. I have found that all parts of my past life have eventually become present within dogs. And it's, again, it's that symbiotic thing. It's nothing happens by accident. And I feel incredibly fortunate to get to watch dogs from when I started to now and beyond. But I also, much deeper than that, my biggest joy, music aside, is watching the development of you guys into the people that you've become and are continuing to become. You and I have had so many wonderful conversations and a lot of deep conversations over the time that we've been friends about I don't remember what show we were at, or maybe it was when we were at your apartment, but you were like finding out about me and you were like, oh, like you want like a yerba mate? And I was just like, no, I don't do caffeine. And you're like, like, what the fuck? And you told me something that was really, really, that has resonated with me since. And it's something that I've taken into my life personally, was that when we were talking about my sobriety, you said to me, you were like, oh, you still party. You just don't do the drugs. And I have thought about that consistently since. And it kind of gave me a bit of a different perspective to be like, yeah, I still am part of this thing. I'm still part of the thing that's bigger than me, but I'm having my experience within it.
It's really hard to see that. Sometimes people use these tools to enable themselves to see that they're bigger, part of the bigger thing. And when you're committing to sobriety, some of those tools are not as available. So the fact
Hmm.
that you are able to see it is incredible. Being able to step outside of it, recognize with your true self that you are a part of this bigger thing is very commendable. Is all I'm trying to say.
Well, I credit that not only when dogs did their first New Year's shows, I gave that speech at the pop-up. And through my journey with all of this mental health work, whether, this was pre-podcast, this was when I was still just kind of doing the seminar stuff, videos, and I was really starting to kind of get my feet under this thing. You guys supported me in that. You guys wanted me, Evan, you guys wanted me to be a part of the thing. You wanted my input. I'll never forget at the Divide when it starts raining and everybody runs to their cars. And my first reaction is like, oh no, I'm staying. Like, let's break down the stage. Like, and we spent 2.5 hours in the rain pushing gear. And for me, I remember I was talking to somebody about it after the fact, and they were like, I was like, because I had so much fun. It was me attributing to the thing. And it was me being able to give my friends something because they consistently give to me. I've had a number of interactions, with Brian where like we've taken a walk or we've gone somewhere because he just wanted to talk for a minute and I could level him out for a second. When we were in Saratoga and Fish is playing Gamehenge and everyone's on their phones like, oh my God, like we're missing it, we're missing it. There was not a place in the world that I would have rather been than in that room watching dogs have their first headlining New Year's show.
Watching the dogs feel shitty about missing Gamehenge also.
Right, right. But it was a real eye opener for me to recognize like, oh, I don't have fear of missing out on something else because I'm exactly where I want to be. And every time I see dogs, and over the past few months, I've definitely taken a bit of a step back in my isolation. And, I admittedly feel like sometimes in my past I have gotten too close to the thing, and I don't want to give off that intention. I don't want it to seem that way because to me, you, Jim, like you guys are my friends. If dogs didn't exist, you guys would still be my friends. And I think that that's the most important thing for me to convey. And the part of the thing that I want to be is we don't need anything from each other, but the ability or the choice to want to give to each other. Like the day when we were here in town and we were hanging out and you were like, dude, we're just going to drive around and do promo stuff. Like just come around. And granted, it was an extra car. So logistically it helped.
And the
But,
sunglasses.
and right. Yeah. So for anyone who has ever seen the promo video of dogs on a roof in Denver, they're all wearing sunglasses. All five of those pairs of sunglasses happened to be in my car. And it worked out. But there are a lot of those moments with you guys that I have felt welcomed and wanted to be a part of the thing. And obviously that does ebb and flow. And I think you in particular have a very good firm stance on what that line is. And you have to. It's part of your job. It's part of
Yeah.
your responsibility. You know, everybody wants a piece of dogs. Everybody wants a piece of these guys. Everybody wants a minute of their time. They're this, they're that. They want them to come to the thing. All this stuff. Everybody wants to come backstage. Everyone wants to do the thing. You have to put yourself in between that. And that's something to credit Dave DeCiani when he was doing the same with pigeons, and it was because he had to. You're doing it because you have to. But you're also doing it, and I see it in you that it's a protection. You want to protect dogs from both themselves, from other people, from the things that you have probably seen other bands succumb to.
Right. There are several accepted things that we know are not good for a band's development.
Mm-hmm.
And I really try to make sure that number one, they understand and accept that because they do, and they're all smart people and understand that if you do this, there will be this consequence, as we've seen in this example, and this example, and this example.
Mm-hmm.
So just being on the same page with that makes it a lot easier than it used to be, probably. But it's really just how you position it. It's like everyone needs to come to these decisions independently. It's not going to happen by me telling them not to do something. But if I can explain or help them get to the realization that what we're trying to do is in their best interest, it makes a lot more sense and there's a lot less pushback. So like, yes, protecting, but like I'm really just trying to give them the tools that they need to protect themselves.
Well, that's something that I've always found about dogs, and I talked to Big Jim about this one time, or I remember I talked to you about it when I had when I was really getting to know Tooker and everything, and your explanation of at that time what Tooker's role. It wasn't that he can load in gear. It wasn't that he could be a manager. It was he can get to those guys in a different way. It was never about how Kieran could move in gear. It was
Hard
never
skills.
about right.
Hard skills can come.
Right.
It's not. We're not doing rocket science here.
Right.
I will say, to our entire team's credit, that what we are doing is like mental rocket science. It's not complex math. It's not complex math, but I would absolutely say it is equally as hard to the degree as rocket science on people's emotional intelligence. And these guys are younger than both of us,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of our life experience over the last 5 years has been in this environment. So being able to learn new things without that factor of change that often presents the opportunity to learn new things, and like having to come to it by force, like having to learn these things.
Hmm.
Um, less, I mean, dude, if they're not in Colorado on this tour, but like you'll be blown away the next time you see how like professional they're treating themselves and like holding themselves and their discipline and their routine that we've built. Like it is just so impressive. You really would be so proud of them. And I am, and it's not me. Like we've been talking about it for months and months and months about routine and regimen and like how to implement it, but they're doing it.
Hmm.
I'm in, like they're in fucking Florida. So like, but they know when they're supposed to be getting ready to set up their equipment on stage. They know when they're supposed to be sound checking. They have an itinerary for what they're going to be talking about in the green room while the opener is on stage. Like everything is very much dialed in and focused because it's a culture that we're trying to build internally. Like the culture that we met in is not the culture that we live in now as an organization. And unfortunately, that means that like these are my best friends, right? Like we've spent so much time together, but like there's a little bit of sacrifice on the fun front in order to get our focus dialed in towards where we want to go. And it sucks, but step outside of it, I'm having a little bit less fun, which is not even true. But the results are just like 10 to 1 in terms of like efficiency, mental health, um, relationships within the band, like and crew, everything. They're like everyone's respecting each other. It's like all it's everything is coming together on the touring front where I'm able to just like focus on growing the band for once. That I truly feel that like we're we're rolling right now, and it gives me the opportunity to be in a bigger picture role where I need to be in order to get us out of where we are now. Someone needs to. So that's it's really an amazing sight to behold watching them on their show days now.
What I have seen from dogs, particularly last summer, was my first look at like, oh, this isn't just gonna go away. Or not that I ever thought that they would, but I was like, this is building. And not just from the success standpoint, not just from the playing bigger rooms and all of that. I was like, the business is cultivating. The schedule is happening. They are starting to make the adjustments to really push this thing to the next level. So when you say I will be proud of them, I'm proud of all nine of you at all times, truthfully, because like I said, you guys are my friends first. And your ability to grow, your ability to be aware, your ability to prioritize inside and outside of dogs has been my favorite part. Watching you guys grow as people is equally cool as watching the band succeed. And for me, it was a really I'll speak personally about when Dogs played Cervantes earlier this year, and I didn't go. And it was because I was in the middle of my personal isolation and the things that I had going on, and I had felt my relationship with music needed to change a little bit. And I also felt like I needed to like not try to be part of the thing because the thing is moving in its own way, the way that it should. But I popped in for the second night for maybe an hour.
Did that break your isolation?
It did.
Nice.
Um, I didn't go. I made it through the first night of not going, and I like woke up the second day, and I was like, awesome. Like I did it. Like I didn't succumb to like dogs is in town. Like I have to go. And then the second night, I was on the phone with my buddy who does my tattoos, and he was like, yo, go fucking see your friends. He was like, you don't have to go be the mayor. You don't have to fucking say hello. Like, just go and see your friends. And I did. And the show was great. And admittedly, while I was in the crowd, a few people saw me, and once I got spotted, I was like, all right, I got to get the fuck out of here. But like, I had a conversation with Big Jim on my way out, and he was just like, "You okay? Are you okay?" He's like, "You good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm great." And he was like, "Yeah, man, like we've been asking about you all week." And I was like, "Well, I appreciate that." And I find myself in my relationship with dogs and in music is I always put myself in a weird scenario of like, am I not? Where should I? Am I overstepping, all that kind of stuff? Because truthfully, the familial aspect of dogs, as beautiful as it is, it also needs to be given the space to evolve, and it's a job. It's a business. You guys are creating a culture. And I think to like, I don't know if you've ever seen the interview that Trey gave on Good Morning America about when like fish shut down. And it was him saying how, he would have barbecues and there would be 70, 80, 100 people and everybody there is on payroll.
Right, right.
And I find that so interesting because it's a total possibility for any band. When you are bringing it, when you're all friends and you're hiring a friend and this person comes on and this person comes on, those lines get blurred very, very quickly. And I think for me, I want to be separated from dogs for their own benefit, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to try to step into that, family is family and friends are friends and all of that. But at the end of the day, like dogs in a pile exists, letting it be its thing. And everything else is its own entity, the friendships, the relationships. It is all a part of it. But I love the fact that what I saw last summer was the recognition in the organization of that switch, of understanding that, yes, we're a family, yes, we're friends, yes, but it's time to be professional and we can do this. And I truthfully do know and say that a lot of that comes from you. You are a backbone of dogs. You are the voice of reason. You are, a lot of times, you're the one who sees things that other people don't see. And in this line of work and doing the things that you do and all of this, all the busting your ass that you do, what does that give you outside of dogs? I know we talk, there's not work-life balance, but what is being a pivotal role and having a purpose and serving community and all of those things? When Ross gets to like step away from dogs, even though you don't really get to, but when you're with your family or when you're with your friends, like how has this experience and this career enriched your life, not only from a perspective of mental health, but just I spoke to Kun Shah from Live for Live Music on a recent episode, and he said something that was really great, that we're human beings, not human doings. So how does being such a prevalent human doing enrich you as a human being?
The left hand washes the right or whatever. Um, like all the lessons that we learn, and I'm very fortunate, I guess, to have these opportunities to learn life lessons firsthand, oftentimes by fucking something up. I can take those lessons and it applies into the real world and helping others. And really that's like the whole thing is helping others. And the dogs is the best platform that I have available to me to help others and make a difference in the world. So if I'm yeah, I think that when I'm able to learn and apply from my daily life goes directly into the band, and daily life for me is really working, taking care of my dog. I like watching the Phillies. I've been cooking. I don't really have any life lessons from cooking. I'm just trying to be a little healthier.
Hey, that's a life lesson, man. Health is wealth.
Yeah, and but yeah, I think that there's just application when it happens. It's like your tool belt. That's what I explain to my band members and just like the crew. It's just like you're constantly accumulating a tool belt of soft skills of like, okay, you're dealing with the situation with the bus driver. Great. The next time you now have this tool in your mind that you can refer to. And I think that for me, a lot of those tools do come from the band and it sees itself out in other ways. But it's a two-way street in terms of applying what I learn through dogs into the rest of the world and what I learn in the rest of the world that I apply to dogs. And I'm not a great reader either. Like I don't really I'm a big YouTuber, but like if I could sit for 20 minutes, which I'm not good at, I'm sure I would have even more lessons to try to apply to the dogs. And hopefully one day I will.
Well, that all comes in naturally when it does. I find that the things that we're supposed to learn find us exactly when we're supposed to. And for me personally, like I only, maybe not only, but I pretty exclusively learn through pain, through mistakes, through, I'm the guy that like I have to touch the stove 3 times because the first time wasn't bad enough. But the lessons that we learn in our lives, they come at the right times. They find us when they're supposed to, and I think our awareness of it and our receptiveness to that is something that's, you just spoke about how it's a tool belt. With mental health, we have to have a tool belt. You have to have the ability to check in with yourself. You have to have the ability to check in with your friends. You have to have the ability to reflect, to prioritize your well-being, your health. All of these things, when you need space to ask for it, to honor boundaries, there are so many tools in the tool belt. And for mental health, bringing this to the beginning, that's where everything starts. If you don't have that, all the other tools are useless. All the other implementation is useless. And for you, having such a unique role and such an integral part of it's a business, it's a family, all the things that we talked about. I'm curious what music means to you as a listener and just because I feel like anybody that works in music, and a lot of time I talk about this with musicians that come on, and like and I find the same, like they're always, it's the inability sometimes to like switch off, like critiquing or like listening for chord changes.
I enjoy going to concerts
Yeah,
still.
I know you do.
If that's the question, I'm not jaded yet.
Well, the question, even on a deeper level, is music is important to you for all of it's enriching your life, it's your career, it's your best friends, it's all those things. But what does music just give you, just purely?
I love history. And I think that listening to the Dead, listening to bluegrass specifically, it's just like a snapshot in time that like it's a story, it's a moment that you can connect to without being there. Um, I mean, it's like your heartbeat, you know. Music is like your rhythm, like your heartbeat is music,
I
right?
literally have a tattoo that's a Victrola with a heart because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, so it's like the same. It's everything, and it's doesn't stop. It's like the if you don't have anything else, you still have sound. Music is playing, you know. Um, I don't yeah, I mean, I'm not like a big audiophile. Like I can't. I work a lot,
Mhm.
and I can't work and listen to music. So then by the time like I haven't been hooked on an album where I'm just like playing nonstop in a while. Um, like I'm looking in my, I love all the new Andy Frasco music. I will definitely shout him out on this podcast. All of his new songs, like I've been listening and pre-saving and all that. But City of Gold by Molly Tuttle, I have that in my recents. But like, I really don't
Attaboy.
like. I love her, but I don't really
She's the
listen to.
queen, dude.
Yeah, it's just not much. I don't know. I edit video and I'm listening to music, right?
Hmm.
Like I'm
That's true.
listening to a lot of music, but it's just not for nothing. It's not just to listen.
Okay. Because I find, with people that work in music, it does tend to just kind of change the nature of the relationship. And I think for you even more so, like they're playing music. So the tangibility of playing music, it still connects. They're writing, it's cathartic, it's a way to express, it's all those things. But I've been super curious with you because you're so behind the scenes. Like I've been at shows with you as a fan. Like I remember the first time that when we saw Giz at Red Rocks, or when we went to Billy Strings of Fiddlers, and like you're like, what is this? What is it like? And you're asking me questions, and like, granted, I'm a wealth of useless knowledge, um, but I love, because, and the reason that I asked it was because I'm curious if you even recognize that when you are able to not work, you have such like a child like passion, curiosity for music. Like you're so happy to be at a concert, not partying, drinking, like none of that. You're just so happy to like be there. And I think it's because you can appreciate so much what it takes to put that on, that when you get to experience it, it's like bliss. And you don't look at it like, oh, they did this really well, they did that really well. You're not like, yeah, we've like maybe how many tickets are sold or whatever, but like you're really indulging in the experience of live music.
For me, that is most prevalent at Billy Strings concerts because there's nothing that I'm looking at and be like, how can I do that for dogs? Fish, forget it. Like analyzing everything, everything. I'm I'm just yeah, I'm blown away when I don't need to like have my thinking cap on and I can just enjoy a show that like I've been looking forward to for months and months and months, because that is the case when I'm seeing someone that I don't have I was thinking about going to Grand Rapids, but it's not looking likely. Uh, it was a great thought, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's so funny to see that, or not funny. It's so wonderful to see this side of you in terms of, you and I've been friends for years now. We've shared a lot of awesome times, a lot of great conversation, a lot of stuff. You've always treated me well. And I hope I've done the same. But to dig into who Ross is, and I don't think people that don't know you, I don't think they understand like how smart and how really, like I said it in the intro, you really are one of the hardest working guys that I know. And it's not just because you're sitting editing. It's not, it's your frame of mind of all of the things, of everything. You're you're very much like me, where like better busy than bored, and you're spinning
Yes.
15 plates at the same time. But when you're on plate number 7, you know exactly that plate number 2 is slowing down. Like your awareness is incredibly high. And I've always, you know, I'm incredibly appreciative of the work that you do selfishly, but also because like I revere people that are good at what they do. And in the context of music, in the context of mental health, there are some people that are are quickly becoming or are masters of what they do. And you you very rarely do I ever see you like miss a beat, and a lot of time it's because you're pulling your hair out, or because you're exhausted, or because there's so much going on. But I truly see that your role in dogs and your things, it helps you find purpose within yourself, but it also truly gives you the opportunity and the platform to master what those lessons that you're learning are. And it's very cool to watch somebody get excited about implementation and about like, how can I bring this thing into this? How can I make this better? How can I integrate this thing into us? So I'm curious from the personal perspective. We talked about what music means to you. We talked about all of those things. I want to take the step out of dogs as much as we can.
Little work-life balance.
A little bit. We'll try to give you a little bit. Where do you find your most joy? Yes, I know that it's having purpose. It's serving people. It's Bear.
This is my joy right here.
Well, I can match that because
We can have dogs on the pod.
do dogs in a podcast.
Yep.
um, no, I love that for you, and it's truly it is a beautiful journey that we're on, being new dog dads at the same time. Pretty much, they're like a month apart. It's awesome, and I'm so stoked about it, and I
Single
love it.
dog dads.
Single dog dads, absolutely. Um, but yeah, I'm truthfully curious. Phillies. I know how close you are with your family. Um, what does like a perfect day look like for Ross?
With a dog, like with the
And
dog
take
show.
take no take. I want to
uh,
give people insight to Ross, not dogs manager Ross.
oh man. Uh
What makes you other than the work and the passion and the purpose and the serving people? What just really makes you happy? And when you're at like Happy Gilmore, your happy place, your mental happy place, what does that look like?
oh, I love the shore. I love LBI and Margate and I love eating. Like I love like fried chicken, and if there's really good fried chicken involved, that would probably be a part of my best day ever. Um, hmm. My mom also. So my sister now lives with my mom for just this year,
Hmm.
and there's four dogs over there now. So
Sheesh.
my my mom has two, and my sister and her boyfriend have two that live together. So I love going over there with him, and it's literally like our own dog park in my backyard. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah. What
You
else?
you're a
Fried
simple
chicken,
you're a simple dogs in two different kinds of dogs. Fried chicken,
Phillies.
family,
Well,
Phillies.
I play one game on PS5 a night. I have a night. I have one nightcap. Um,
All
in
right.
the winter, it's NBA. In the like now, just turning into MLB the Show season for me.
Well, the reason that I asked is because, like I said, when I get to see you take the thinking cap off, you have such a truthfully like genuine childlike appreciation for things. And I want people to recognize that as hard as you work and as important as you are and integral to the thing, to humanize you as much as possible, to let people know like the guys that are making all this shit happen, creating this culture, building this thing, doing all of that stuff. You're a human just like everybody else. And I want to simply appreciate you as a human, but I also want you to leave this with recognition of appreciation for yourself and just being content with Ross. Because I have said it throughout this, and I've told you numerous times. The reason I consider you a friend isn't because of dogs. The reason I consider you a friend is because I'm appreciative of who you are, and I just love seeing the man that you are continuously becoming. And I want you to know that from me, but I also want you, there's a great adage of I can be proud of you, but it's way cooler for you to be proud of you. And I hope that you have a lot of, I hope that you celebrate yourself, and I hope that you enjoy the place that you're in, but I hope you let people celebrate you too.
I am proud of the work that we have done collectively, and I am just a small fraction of all of the contributions that happen on a day-to-day basis. I'm very proud of my contributions, like seeing that this was me, Murray, and artist Brandon Helfrich, but like seeing that vending post go up on
Yeah.
Burning Daylight was like I felt really proud just because we're having an event that we're now recruiting vendors for. Like that is so sick to me. And no, but otherwise yeah, I get excited about certain things um like and I guess it's not even me, but like Kieran had this carousel of videos ready to go right at 9 a.m. on the 21st after 420, and I was pumped about getting that out at 9 a.m. Like, but it's everything's a team. Like everything, nothing. We're a 5-piece band with a fucking 30-person support network. Like, there's
Hmm.
no I in this at all. Um, Sometimes it's cool. I get like excited when things come to fruition that we've been working on or like gambling on, if you will. Like when we take a chance and it works out, then I'm proud of myself because like I'm really the one that's responsible for any situations where risk is involved with the band.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's always cool. Like seeing things that I believe will work out. Sometimes they don't, and then it's my fault. But sometimes they do. And it's just great. I mean, like when in any instance when you set your mind to something and you see it come to fruition, that is a really special thing. And I'm by no means taking credit for it, but what I will take credit for is having an idea and watching it come to life. And there's so many people and there are so many different units that contribute towards these things happening, but when I see something develop that was just once an idea, I'm very proud of all of us.
Well, you should be, and I hope that you are able to take some personal inventory as well. And even if it's collective and it's a team, there doesn't need to be selfishness, but I commend you, and I have nothing but the ultimate respect for you and your role in all of this. And I said, what does the happiest day look like for Ross? We're talking about building this culture, talking about impact. 10, 15, 20 years from now, what does dogs look like?
I'm so happy you asked that. I've had this answer in my back pocket since November. So I went to the Disco Biscuits at Brooklyn Steel sober. I drove up and back from
Hmm.
Philly, and I've seen them a handful of times. But what really clicked that time in November is like, and I follow Brownie on Twitter. Like they love the Disco Biscuits. Like Brownie is the number one Biscuits fan, you know?
Hmm.
And I don't care if the dogs are playing at the Crazy Horse in Nevada City for 75 people or the Garden. If they are feeling as passionate about their music at age 50, hopefully more passionate at age 50 than they are now, if that level of passion continues on an upward slope, that's where I will be happy seeing the band in 20 years. But it doesn't it needs to start within. Like they need to continue to feel better and better and better about it. And that's I just want to put them in position to be there because yeah, that is success to me is wanting to get on stage at 50. If they don't, then it's a problem. Then we're screwed.
I think that's One of the healthiest outlooks I could imagine is it's not about how many ticket sales we are having. It's not about what venues we're playing. It's about what have we created and are we still having fun?
Do you feel good about it? I
Right.
really, that's like, and we make all of our moves feeling good about it. I don't get ourselves into things that we don't feel good about anymore. Like,
I love that. And I think that's been the biggest, that's Dogs of 2021, band and crew, versus Dogs of 2025. The maturity, the self awareness, the understanding, and the prioritizing of feeling good is where I
oh,
think it, yes, but is where the longevity and the success will come from beyond everything else.
realistically, like ticket sales are not in our control.
Of
Like,
course.
there's nothing I can promote as hard as I want. I can have the band do 17 different promo videos. We can send 50 email blasts, have 10 marketing partners, but there's a chance that 10 people show up and there's literally nothing we can do about it. But what we can do something about is have a feeling or assign emotions to what we're doing for work. And as those emotions continue to stay positive and on an upward slope, everything else, like we've been talking about, will sort of find its way, fill in. But the the truth of it, or the most important factor within our control, is feeling good about the music that we're putting together and not killing each other. You don't need to, like, we all love each other, don't need to like each other, just need to feel good about it and not kill each other. And everything else will fall into place. We're lucky that we are a family. That doesn't
Yes.
mean that being on the road in a 12 by 10 space for 200 days of the year isn't going to lead to shit.
Hmm.
Like that's the one thing that the band is and crew have accepted this tour that has propelled them. Like, they know that they're in a constant state of imperfection. This is not the end of the world. Like, the world will be in a constant state of perfection when we're like, we're fucked when that, like, we're not going to be able to like do anything good. The world's going to be perfect, but people aren't going to be looking to like get better, if the world is perfect. But accepting where we are, we know we love each other, we know we have a common goal, we know that there's going to be problems. What can we do? We can try to feel as good as possible about what we're doing together, because the other things we really can't do anything about.
And that's the best thing is you guys prioritizing that you feel good and that everybody involved feels good. The fans, like you said, the rest of that quote, we want to put our fans in a position to become friends with other fans. Who knows what can happen from there? That is the energy to take into the internal infrastructure. We are friends. We feel good. We are prioritizing that. Dogs will figure, and everything else will fall into place the way that it should, as it has up to now. And it has been truthfully wonderful to watch dogs become something that and I say it immediately and honestly, that I didn't know if they would become. And it's not the success side of it, because that I knew. It's the emotional development and the maturity and the happiness. I personally, part of that isolation that I was talking about, I had lost a lot of my own sense of happiness and playfulness, and I was in a bit of a depression during that time, and it was part of the reason I didn't go to those shows, was because like I didn't want to be I didn't want people to see me that way either.
Especially
But
when everyone else around you is so happy, it's hard to not be.
exactly. Um but there's something, my favorite thing about dogs is there is always something that will bring me back to it no matter where I go. And it's simply the fact that it truthfully, in the moment, being present, foresight aside, success aside, ticket sales aside, when I'm in the moment and I'm enjoying myself, it's because everybody around me is doing the same, and there is a collective consciousness to, there's nothing left to do but smile, smile, smile. And truthfully, with dogs, I believe that the culture that is being created and the thing that is being created is a sense of happiness among everybody. And there's not really much more that you can ask for that than that. So,
Why else do you go to a show?
right, right.
That's
So I am immensely proud of you. I'm immensely proud of dogs. I'm incredibly excited for the growth and the continuation of this culture and all those things. But I also want to thank you not only for how you've always been to me and that we're friends and all of that, but in this conversation, your vulnerability, your honesty, and I want to sincerely say thank you for wanting to talk about, your own diagnosis and your own views on things, because it's not easy always to come out and just talk openly, and it's not easy to allow people the view of you that you can't control. Just like you said, there's a million things you can't control. So I sincerely want to say thank you. And the way that I want to do that right now is I just want to give you complete open floor. Anything you want to say to anyone, could be the band, could be your family, could be Bear, could be the people listening. If there's anything in the world that Ross would want to tell the world, what would that be?
go. It's the quote that I had led off with. Just go on at a steady pace. There's a there's a bigger there's a bigger picture. Zoom out. Don't get caught up in the details. Love yourself. Um, you can't love anyone else until you love yourself. Um, Try to help others wherever you can if that's your intention. Like if the way that I try to lead is if your intention is good, it will come back. And we've hit on all these things, and we're on the same page. And I need to get into more Ramdas like you, but Bear agrees. And
So does Broly.
so that's I think that's what I'm saying. Yeah, life goes on. Um,
I love that. You're an intelligent guy. You're a wonderful guy. You're a hardworking guy, and
Good
I,
father.
and a father. Remember, it's not a dad bod; it's a father figure.
Yes.
Um,
I've been
sincerely,
working on it.
I do. You look great, and like I said, the next time I see you, I know that I'm already proud of you, but I'm gonna be even more so when I grab around and I'm like, oh, it's a little. Um, but yeah, I'm so grateful for your outlook. I'm grateful for your hard work. I'm grateful for your insight. I'm grateful for your friendship, and grateful for your vulnerability and willingness to talk today. And truthfully, it is so good to have you as a friend, and I'm incredibly appreciative of your place in my life.
Likewise, man. This was an awesome experience.
I'm glad, and
So glad we could do it together.
likewise, 16 months.
Yeah.
It had to be good. It had to be good. Um, but with that, we always bring it to a close and give a message out to the people. And from me, from Broly, from Ross, from Bear, we love you and we believe in you. And wherever you go from here, know that it's all right. Take care of yourself, prioritize yourself, take care of others, act from love and not for it, and just become whoever it is that you're supposed to be. I hope that you find fulfillment. I hope that you find joy. I hope that you find love in your life. And I hope that everything finds you as it's supposed to, because it will. So, Ross, again, this was awesome. And guys, I appreciate the time. We'll see you next week. And until then, take care and be well.